After some back and forth, she admitted she was mad that I threatened HR and hoped my wife would force me to quit my job so I wasn't a problem anymore. So I took the recording and the messages to HR and she was fired immediately. Welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go over them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today, I'm going to go over a story titled, Am I the A-hole for recording my female coworker without her permission? And guys, this is about a guy who had a situation at work. He was working in one of those places where there was this gal who's young and obviously attractive who likes to flirt with every single guy in the office. That type. I'm sure you work with someone like that at some point in your life, if not now. But this guy knows better, and he avoids her. And he made it clear to her, stay away from me, because multiple times apparently she's putting the moves on him, and he turned it down every time. And as you guys can probably imagine, as I talk about all the time, the gals don't like rejection. And eventually you're going to see this gal goes to his wife on social media and makes up all this stuff about him to make him look bad and potentially cause a problem. Maybe his wife divorced him, something like that. So this guy takes matters into his own hands. You're going to see what he does at work with the recording and ultimately what happens to her. But you see, it doesn't stop there, because then, hell hath no fury, she's back. And so I'm doing this one as I talk about all the time, guys, how nowadays, with how things are, you got to be so careful. It's best that you use work purely for business, nothing more. And I talk about this all the time on my other channel, Strong Successful Male. On the other hand, if you avoid these types that are the flirts and the attention WHREs, some might get mad and then try to stir up trouble for you. So guys can't really win, but you got to be on your guard. And that'll be a good one here to cover here. But also it's very funny how this guy handles the situation and sticks it to her, and you're going to see what happens to her. But it doesn't stop there. So, it starts off, he says, I know this title sounds bad, but hear me out. I'm a 28-year-old male, and I have a female coworker who's 26 who likes to flirt with all the men at work. My wife, who's 24, knows about her and how I feel. The coworker stays away from me unless it's work-related, because I shot her down a few times and told her on Monday if she didn't knock it off, I'd report her to HR. Okay. And remember, guys, the situation was reverse. How do you think things would go down? If a guy was constantly putting the moves on and flirting with a gal, how would that work? We all know. Well, yesterday, that same coworker found my wife's social media and messaged her telling her that I'm a creep and I won't leave her alone, and I tried paying her for sex. I was honestly disgusted. I ignored her existence unless it's work-related, and I couldn't believe the blatant lies she was telling. Now, he said here that his wife knows about her, which was smart that he brought this up. Imagine if the wife didn't know about her. She might fly off the handle and divorce the guy. But what does it say about this gal? She's not getting the attention she wants and goes this far. And there's been stories about there that guys have been fired because they reject a gal at work. It's terrible. It says here, so today I go into work and have my phone in my hand and record our conversation when I confronted her. I didn't show her face on the camera and was facing the floor, so all that was shown was the shoes. After some back and forth, she admitted she was mad that I threatened HR and hoped my wife would force me to quit my job so I wasn't a problem anymore. So I took the recording and the message to HR, and she was fired immediately. How about that? Now, the only problem is there are certain states in this country that if you record somebody without their permission, you're in deep shit. I live in Massachusetts, and I know for a fact Massachusetts is one of them. So, do you think it ends there? Nope. On the way out of the building, she screamed at me that I was an a-hole and a few other choice words for recording her without her permission, and she's suing me for it. Even a few coworkers said I was wrong for it and should have showed HR the messages and how she's a single MOM and I just cost her the livelihood of her kids. So am I the a-hole? No, you're not the a-hole. She has been bugging you constantly. Won't leave him alone. He can't do his job because she's flirting and all that. Then she sticks her nose in his personal life, making up lies about him to his wife to cause problems for him. Psycho. So he records her admitting this. says the HR. She doesn't deserve to work there. This isn't a pleasant working environment for the men there because she causes problems. And it was only a matter of time before he would get fired because of her actions. So he had every right. But this whole, oh, well, she has kids. Well, how about some accountability? Her actions got her fired. And if she wouldn't have done that, she'd still have a job. And something tells me she's good looking, she'll probably get a job someplace else. The only way he went wrong was if he's in a state where that's illegal, he has a problem. So, he has some updates. He says here, I appreciate all your guys' concern about me actually getting into legal trouble. According to Google, Ohio, where I live in, is a one-party consent state. I've sent out a few inquiries to lawyers just to be safe to see if she does have a case if she were to try to go the legal route. I will keep everyone updated the more I find out and see if she does actually try to sue me. Well, this is we're in the lawsuit world. You do anything somebody doesn't like and they're going to threaten you with a lawsuit. He says also another update. Thank you guys for so much kindness and support. I'm overwhelmed with everything and never thought this would blow up like this. However, someone shared my post into another group, which is fine. It's social media and I obviously can't expect it to remain private on the internet. But a lot of people seem very concerned about my age gap with my wife. Not that I owe anyone any explanation, but we met when I was 21, we got married, and after 2 months of dating, because we hooked up and she wound up pregnant. I was in the military and stationed on the other side of the country and wanted an active involvement in my now daughter's life. If that makes me a bad person, so be it, I guess. So that update has nothing to do with this, but people were focused, just to show you how wacko people are online, they're focused on the age gap between he and his wife. Who gives a crap? We're talking about a guy that made a recording to protect himself about this crazy chick, and she then threatened him and sue him. So, guys, what should he do? Well, he should certainly talk to an attorney and find out what would happen if he would get in trouble in the state. Otherwise, if it's a state where it's not a problem, she's got no case. But I would be careful with his car because his car could get keyed and things like that, or amongst many other things, other threats. But in my opinion, she got what she deserved. And nobody has the right to go do that, make threats, and also stick their nose in your personal life, make up a bunch of stuff about you. So I think she got what she deserved. That's funny, haha. Will she learn her lesson? Probably not, because people that love attention all the time, which a lot of these types do, it's not going to stop. Now here's a few comments to show that I'm not alone in this view. One guy says, not the a-hole. If the genders were reversed, everyone would be applauding you. Always have proof and never go off he said, she said when possible. How about that? If the situation was reversed and this was a gal recording a guy saying these things and she went to HR, everybody would be cheering and applauding and all that. But because it's a dude who did it, well, he's the root of all evil. I mean, the coworkers gave him a hard time about that. Another one says, she cost her own kids her livelihood. As if hitting on you wasn't bad enough, but contacting your wife and potentially ending your marriage. That's a bridge too far. From your title, I was going to say something else, but definitely not the a-hole. I agree. Another one says, I agree 100% that the OP is not the a-hole, but I don't know why people act like women who report their male coworkers for S-word problems are applauded and taken seriously right away. Maybe online people are quicker to admit a blatant account of abuse is bad, but in the real world and most offices, no one gives a crap, and most often the reporter is the one who suffers the consequences, not the one doing the harassment. We should all be more conscious of the actual reality that most reports of harassment and other things like that are not given the proper care or attention. Well, you know what? If everyone handled the work environment as what it's supposed to be, purely a place where you go for your career, to do your job, to earn an income, etc., there wouldn't be this problem. But I still encourage all guys not to do these types of things because in this environment, you're asking for trouble. Another guy says, 11 states require two-party consent. However, in other words, everyone involved in a conversation must agree to be recorded. These states are, this is good because we can all find out, California, Delaware, Florida, Illinois, Maryland, Massachusetts, where I live, Montana, Nevada, New Hampshire, Pennsylvania, and Washington. Okay, now we know those are the states that you got to have consent. Another guy says, perfect response. Plus, let's stay in reality here. She's not suing him. As the OP already stated, she's a single MOM with no livelihood, and they work in a state that has a single-party consent. He did nothing wrong. The only way I can see her suing is if she finds an attorney who is willing to work either pro bono or if they make an agreement that the attorney will only get paid if she wins the case. or the attorney gets paid by her doing something else. Either or, no attorney is going to touch this case for a 10-foot pole, with a 10-foot pole, as an attorney will only put their billable hours, livelihood, and reputation on the line. If it is an open and shut slam dunk case, then they're guaranteed to win. And in this case, it is by far not a slam dunk. Okay. Any attorneys out there watching, you can give me your 2 cents. And last of all, the guy says, not the a-hole. No one should tolerate S-word harassment. You did nothing wrong, and maybe now she'll learn not to be a boundary-pushing creep. She wouldn't take no for an answer, and she tried to destroy your marriage. She absolutely deserved to lose her job. 100%. There are consequences for actions. Unfortunately, we're in a world now that people think they don't need to have consequences to their actions, but every once in a while it happens and people lose their mind. So anyway, guys, this is a quick one here. I thought we'd go in there. I like to hear a guy actually makes out of the situation. And I look for an update, and I didn't see any updates, so hopefully this guy didn't get sued or any BS went his way, but good for him. But watch out there, guys, because you just never know who you're dealing with. So, all right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Let's hear it. You think he's the a-hole? I'm going to guess 95% of you will say no. But I'd like to hear about it. I'd like to hear the attorney's opinions on this particular thing. And also, guys, you come across a really good story that make a good one for this channel through Reddit or whatever, by all means, email it to me, strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com, and I'll definitely cover it down the road. Or if you got some kind of story that in your past that definitely warrants a good video, something crazy, something outrageous, something entertaining, again, email it to me, and I'll definitely cover it down the road. Just make sure it's written out well, easy for me to easy for me to read. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.